start doing some talking. So, all right, guys. So good. I'm so glad to see so many of you on here sticking this out, because this is, oh, good. Here comes Amy. So this is our fifth call of six. And again, sometimes, you've seen that when we started some of these with a good, 20 people, and, we've dwindled down a little bit, but I'm really excited to see as many of you on here. Because it's hard sometimes to stick with stuff. We talked a lot about in the past too, that's, one of the beautiful things about this business is that you are your own boss, but sometimes people have problems with that because you've got to keep yourself motivated and sort of accountable to yourself. I've said people on my team that, I can hold you accountable and say, okay, did you do this? You said you're going to do this last week. And in Vicky's mind, she's thinking, well, it's not like you're my boss. Like, I don't really have to, that's a real thing of it. So for you to really make the investment and the commitment to go through this training, some of you are brand new consultants, we know, some of you have been around for a while. But again, the things that we've gone through throughout this whole, week, and we're going to go into, these are the basics of the business. And they're the basics of the business, whether you, when Terry and I and Amy started 16 years ago, the basics of the business, besides changing them up for virtual, is the same thing as it is today. These same basics that we're talking about, bookings and the out and about, the host coaching, and then today we're going to talk about the recruiting. And those are the same things we started doing. We're still doing them today. So we still have to do them at our levels. It's the same thing. We still go through them. So by you guys making the commitment and getting this good basis is really going to help you guys go through. And again, making the commitment to go through them is really good too. So we do have a really big group. I would love to do, because today we're going to be, since we're working, that's fun there. My hair just I did that little thing and it stuck right up. I know, Deb, you can't even see it because you had to clean your glasses, but it's sticking straight up. So we're going to be talking about recruiting tonight and welcoming new consultants. And sometimes we've got people that, and I don't want to preface this to make anybody think this. But sometimes, we all float through and everything's going great. And yeah, I'm on the bookings thing and I can do host coaching. But when we come to recruiting and welcoming new consultants, sometimes the skids come on and it's like, yeah, I don't know if that's what I want to do, or that sounds so scary, or I'm right into that. We've got new consultants that are jumping right into that. Like Jenny Omenson there. Jenny, just jumping right into it and going to help all kinds of people. So it really is for everybody. I would love to just sort of go around, and I'm going to ask you guys, instead of going through and doing your new, because we've sort of got a good feel of what everybody's been doing, and I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire tonight of what you've been doing, because I know you're all doing fabulous. But I wanted to just go around just so we get a feel for, if everybody could, we'll go around and everybody just say one word when they think about, what comes to mind when they think about welcoming new consultants. We're not even going to talk about it recruiting. I know in the Veerling organization, you've seen a lot with the welcome wagon. Vicki, why are you sharing your screen? Vicki.
What is she doing? What is that?
She's sharing her screen. Vicki, stop sharing your screen.
It's a camera.
I don't think I can not. I don't think I can.
Block her?
Vicki.
Vicki. Oh,
Vicki.
Let's play Bubble Witch.
That's what I'm saying. What is Moto?
But what I want to do.
Going on?
What is going on, Vicki?
I don't know.
Stop sharing your
phone.
screen.
The connection went off and then it came back on, and now this is what I have, and I don't know how to fix that. I'm
At the
off.
Where does it? At the bottom, does it say something about sharing your screen?
Okay. So,
let me see if I can say hide video panel. Oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. No, I can't see any of you. Show the video panel. Okay. All right, Vicki.
What is
Because I
she?
show you in 2 places too.
What is that?
I'm gonna get rid of you. Let me see if I can, oh,
There you go.
okay. She must have taken herself out. Okay. But what I want to do, one word when we talk about welcoming new consultants, because I know that we've talked about the welcome wagon, the Veerling organization, we have that all over the place, and Amy's going to talk a little bit more about that. Instead of talking recruiting, because that's, I come back from that, from military background and stuff, and sometimes recruiting is a little bit scary. But let's talk about welcoming new consultants or offering the opportunity, offering what, offering the opportunity, offering what the Pampered Chef opportunity is. What comes to mind when you think of that? One word of what comes to mind when you think about offering the opportunity to somebody else. Debbie Murphy, you're first.
Fun.
What did you say?
I said fun.
Yes, good. All right, I love it. Thank you. Pam Kerr, what do you say?
Jumbled. I don't know what words to come up with when I'm thinking about it. So
Okay, good. Stumbled, good. Krista. It's hot in here.
Take your sweatshirt off.
Well, it was cold upstairs. I gotta open my window. All right, Krista, what's your word?
Friendship.
Friendship, good. I like it. Wendy, you're in the dark. You just got here. What do you think of, what's the one word you think of when we talk about welcoming other consultants?
Unsure.
Wendy, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Now I can get closer. So what's your word?
Unsure.
Unsure. Okay, that's a good word. All right, Amy Hardman. Okay, can't hear you, but I'm gonna read your lips. Did you say nervous? Okay, I'm reading your lips. All right, Amy's nervous. Okay, Jenny Obenson.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so my word would be growth.
Growth. Good. I love it. Good
Thank you.
word. Michelle Chick.
Excitement.
Good. Good. Tori.
Money.
Money. Love it. How about you, Shannon Heath?
Fear.
Fear. Good. Kelly McCleary, can you hear me? It's your turn if you can hear.
I can hear you.
Hi, Kelly. Do you have a word?
Friendship.
Friendship. I like it. Good. How about you, Rebecca?
Welcoming a new host is congratulations.
Yay, I love it. Good. And how about you, Terry?
Are you talking to this, Terry?
Yes,
Duro?
you're Terry.
I'm good. I'm sorry, I missed the question trying to get on here.
That's all right. We're going around, and what word that you think of that comes to mind when we talk about welcoming new consultants or recruiting, welcoming new consultants, offering the opportunity?
Prosperous?
Yeah, good. Vicki, can you hear me? You're on mute. Hello? We can't hear you. Can't hear you. I don't know how you're on mute and still making noise.
I'm not on mute on my end.
I know, it's so weird you are here. Okay, so what, do you have your word?
Flexibility.
All right, I can't even read your lips. I don't even know what that means. Guilty? All right, we're going to move on to Alicia because I have no problem. Alicia, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Alicia, so what word do you think of?
My initial word was friendship, but then immediately following was scared.
Okay. Good. That's awesome. Well, you know what? And I loved, and I don't know about probably Amy and Terry that we're all sort of thinking, but one of the things I automatically expect to hear all kinds of really negative kind of stuff. But, oh, that's beautiful, Michael Nichols.
No, he did his first, I'm sorry, guys. He needs to show it. He did his, and Amy, look, he did his first quilting square.
Oh, my word, Mike.
Mike, I'm very impressed. Hold on, let me look at it again, Terry. Hold on. Let me get your face on the screen. Talk so that you're on the screen big.
Okay, I'm here. Hello, hello, hello. There you go.
are. That is so good. Did you do that stitching, like free motion there going on those curves?
Yeah, we did a pen, and then he's racing. We got campers.
Right.
We got campers next, so we'll have to have a different Zoom on quilt class. That's Mike's project, by the way.
Look at that, right there.
That's good, Michael.
And I'm going to wrap it up because that's his Christmas present. He just happens to be doing it. All right, back to work. Bye, Mike. See you later.
This is a good backdrop.
It is a great
a good backdrop. But just again, hearing the different, that, you know, I'm glad that you guys, a lot of the words that you guys shared were really positive, and I love to hear that. That makes me feel good, because then, you know, you guys are seeing the benefits of it. But then we're also, obviously, if there are the scared or the anxious or those kind of words, those are nervous, those are definitely viable. Yes, Corey, do you have something to say?
Sorry, I have another word.
Oh, what is it?
Irritated.
Oh, irritated. That's interesting. Yeah. Why? Is nobody answering you?
Well, so when you are on Facebook and you message somebody and you see that they've read it and they don't reply,
then you say, so what do you think? That's what I do.
Then, like, the next day or the day after, I'll send a little note saying, hey, just checking to see if you saw my last message. And if they don't reply to me, then I just leave them alone after that.
Yeah,
but
that's good.
It's a little irritating because you're like, you know, I just saw that you read this.
Yeah.
It's become socially acceptable for people to ignore and not respond. So it's just unfortunately socially acceptable.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So we don't take it personally, but yes, I totally get that. I totally get that. Oh, so what we're gonna do, I'm always, you guys know, I'm always, and Amy's gonna go through, director Amy Dolan. She's, so for anybody that doesn't know, she's my sister in real life. She's been, she was, I think, my second recruit when I started. So I started in June, she started in December, but she was the one who coerced me, persuaded me, and said, why don't you just do this, way back when.
I don't think I coerced you. I believe it was that you needed extra money, and we're sitting there in your, I vividly remember this, in your family room, and we were throwing around like numbers, like, Anna, if you had like 3 $200 parties, you could like make like $60.
And I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's what I need.
It was so, the numbers that we were putting out were so ridiculously low.
Yeah.
As far as like the potential, that it was pretty funny.
But you know, a lot of that was because you're a cook and you've always liked to cook and you always liked to bake. And so you were familiar with Pampered Chef. I really wasn't. So I just booked a party just to help somebody. I didn't really know what I was doing anyway. So, but that was all part of that too. But this is probably one of my favorite calls in this, guys, because here's the thing. I'm so passionate about recruiting. I can tell you over and over again about stories where people have said to me, or I've heard that they had gone to party after party after party, left the party thinking, I really think I want to do this. You know, oh my gosh, they talked to their husband, researched it on the phone, but nobody ever asked them. Nobody ever asked them until finally one consultant would ask them, and they said. So I'm always really passionate just because I know there's people out there that are watching you, or and they're thinking, I really would like to do this, but you know, Michelle's doing it, and that means I can't do it. You know, or something like that. Or they are really struggling because they need this and they don't know it's an opportunity for them. So that's where it really comes into welcoming welcoming new consultants and sharing the opportunity. So Amy, go ahead and take us and let's do some training and then we'll talk about where we're going to go from here.
Okay, good. So this is Anna. Okay, so yes, I've been a consultant for I don't know how many years, 15 or so years. And Anna said something about, you know, she said, well, why don't you do the recruiting one? And I go, okay, so I feel those same kind of anxious kind of moments. But when I talk about my, it's excitement. It is one of the best things, bringing people onto the team, and whether they be my personal recruits or people from my team, it just is a great, almost like breath of fresh air and so rejuvenating for everybody. And the energy that's brought in with that excitement of a new consultant is so, what's the word? Contagious, so that the whole team gets it. So it's a really great thing. And it's not hard. One of the things that we're going to talk, or the biggest thoughts, if you will, tonight are the idea of informing and inviting. And I think, Anna, I've heard you tell this story so many times. I don't know if it was on this, you know, this call or whatever, or this set of the business builders, was the cookie story about the cookie. And this is the best way of really describing the difference between informing and inviting. So you have, let's just say that you come over to my house, and Anna's absolutely right. I love to bake. I love to cook. It's not uncommon for you to come over here and have like, right, and Michelle's, she's like, yeah, it's a true story. She comes over all the time, and I've made something delicious. Okay, so there's some really good, like right now I've got a peach pound cake sitting on the counter. Okay, so if you came into my home and you smell this peach pound cake and you're like, oh my God, this smells really good. And I'm telling you all that, I'm like, I used butter and there's real sugar in this, none of that like alcohol stuff that Anna uses because she doesn't do sugars, and you know, it's all this good stuff, and fresh Jersey peaches and all this, and it's so good. And you're sitting there and you're like, what? Like, you know, and I've never asked you until I actually say, so Michelle, do you want a piece of that cake? Right? So the informing is sitting there telling you about all this. They're sitting there watching what we're doing at parties. They're seeing what we're doing on our virtual parties. They're hearing our excitement as we're talking about the products and the thing that we have to offer here with Pampered Chef. But until you actually come out and ask and say, have you ever thought about doing this? Is this something you could see yourself doing? Can I give you some more information? Something along those lines. They are more than likely not going to come to you. It's just like Anna said, so many really successful consultants that we see on stage at the national conference will sit there and say that they went to so many parties and they really wanted to do it, but nobody actually said, I really think you'd be great at this. Have you ever thought about doing it? Okay. So the informing is really telling people about the benefits, about what there is to offer. Okay. The inviting is the actually saying, and you've got to actually say those words. You've actually got to invite them. It's like telling somebody that you're having a party, but not actually inviting them to the party. Same kind of thing. Okay. So let's talk about a little bit about when we can do this informing, okay? One of the things that I know Anna specifically wanted me to touch on that I know is not in any of this information, I don't understand why, is during host coaching. There was one of our sales managers a few years ago came and said they came from like Tupperware, I think it was. And they were saying that there at that company, they recruit, if you will, it's like 75 or something, even higher, crazy number % of their hosts. That is where the bulk of their new consultants are coming. And I realized that I don't talk to my hosts as much as I should. The idea is we really want to be talking to our hosts early and often, kind of like voting, right? You're supposed to vote early and often. That's what we want to do with our hosts too, about the business opportunity. So when you talk about what goes in a host packet, you should always have one of those. Oh, wait, here it is. One of these. I always put one of these in there. Can you see what it is? The Life Tastes Great brochure. I always put this in here. Now, this doesn't have a huge amount of information in it, right? But what it does do is it gives you an excuse, if you will, or an opportunity to bring up with your host. If you've mailed it to them, or if you're handing it to them at a party or whatever, you can always say, this is in there, take a look at it. So then on your first phone call, you can actually say your first host coaching, or even in a host coaching email, however you're deciding to do your host coaching, you can say to them, have you had an opportunity to look at that? And if they said yes, are there any questions that have come up? What is the thing that interests you the most? You can start that conversation. If they say no, say, all right, well, take a look at it, because I find that most of my hosts, the reason they love the Pampered Chef is often the reason why they want to become a consultant themselves. Something like that. Of course, you always want to put in if you know the host or the recruiting promotion. I a lot of times like to mail that separately, the recruiting promotion for the month, because then that doesn't get lost in the shuffle either. And again, gives you another opportunity to talk to them. In those conversations, you can be saying, we could use your party as your grand opening. That could be their first party. Therefore, they could, there's different ways to do it. You could take the sales from it, but give them all of the bookings. You could give them the sales from it, and that will be starting towards their $12.50 for whatever that promotion is. You can run that and talk to your director how you want to do that. But the point is that we have in our hosts people that are already in love with Pampered Chef, right? There's a reason why they're hosting a party. They're already kind of halfway there. So we need to make sure that we don't lose them and we talk to them right away. The other thing is let's say in those conversations beforehand, it's not the right time for them. Do not stop talking to them about it, because you never know what is going to happen in their life that can change their situation. So when you are closing their party, make sure that you talk about it again. One of my last consultants, it's actually what happened, is that I talked to her, and probably not as much as I should have, before the party, but I talked about it at the party, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, how to do that. But it was when we were closing her party, I did say to her, listen, Lindsay, have you ever thought about doing this? Because I had already gotten 2 strong recruit leads and 4 bookings from her party. So I took the sales from it, but I gave her all of those bookings, and she signed up like the day after. I think she even used a kit credit, right? Does everybody know what that is, the kit credit? Okay, so that they can use the free products towards some more products. So that's what she did. So it's really that's really a good thing too, is not to forget. So the early and often with our hosts is something not to forget about. So as we're talking about at our parties, there is something you guys have on your, the party outline cards. Does everybody have those or have access to those? Okay, so there's a number of different places, and I'm just going back to the party outline cards, but it really can be, even if you're not using the cards, it's the same kind of an idea of different places that it's really important that that you kind of throw out this information. Okay, this is a good time to inform everyone is during your party. Or it just is starting at the beginning when you're introducing yourself, when you're telling your story. And remember, your story should only be just 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be a long 40-minute spiel here on how you started with Pampered Chef, why you're there. All of that you can easily tie into that. This is why I got started. There are all sorts of different reasons why someone else could get started. We might talk a little bit more about that later, but you know what I mean? Just kind of throw it out there again, that this is really for everyone. This is just your story, because maybe they could relate to yours. Maybe their story might be a little bit differently. The other thing is the party outline things is really dealing more with, I found the party outline cards are really very station style oriented. I personally don't do station style. I do a very interactive show, but I don't do station style. But it really can be along the same lines. So like they talk about the group selling with the party outline, where you're all grouped around the grill, pan, and press. How does anybody want to, I don't want to just talk at people. How do you think you could talk about the business opportunity when you're talking about the grill, pan, and press? Anybody?
Bueller.
I know I was going to say that. Anybody? What this is what I sorry, was somebody going to say something?
Yeah, it's Shannon.
Hi,
I always tell people how I got mine free because I won it at the spring launch.
Perfect.
So, I wouldn't have bought it because it was a lot of money and I didn't have it then. But here it is, and it was free.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I was gonna say that you can get it in the kit because that's how I got mine.
Absolutely. Who was that just said that?
Alicia.
Alicia, that's what I thought. I saw you come on mute. Yes, exactly. That was where I was thinking too. Is it in the Ultimate Kit? Yeah, it's in the Ultimate Kit now. Perfect. So that's a perfect thing. Really, any of those products, even talking about the manual food processor, doesn't that come in the kit now? That comes in all the kits, the manual food processor. So any of those products that are in the kit, that's a great way to do it. You also remember there's the new consultant rewards. Say you can get that for free. I'm very big on, like, at my parties, as I talk about, especially those high price, I pay for nothing. Like anything I have at my parties, I've not paid for. I've earned it all for free by being a consultant. So that's something really people don't realize, the amount that you actually can earn beyond just our commission. So good. The other thing is we talk about our confident close. The way that they do the confident close on the party outlines is a little differently than I do. I do the 3 ways to get products, Pampered Chef products tonight. And I talk about the first one is buying products. So I talk about the sales and specials. Second is by hosting a party, getting stuff for free and half price. And so I go through all the host specials. And then I say the third way is by doing what I do. Now, I was part of the LEAD program this past spring. And one of the things that they said, and I know this might not resonate with everybody, but is not to use like the ticket game or not to use any gimmick is the big thing. And to actually, this wasn't, because I know when I'm doing my parties, I'm standing like the whole time. And this is what Julie Joel said, is she goes, you sit down and you have like a little heart to heart with people. And you talk about the fact that, this is why I started. This is what I needed to do. But I know the potential of what this business can do for anyone here. I know that this can be a life-changing thing. Now, it may not need to be a life-changing thing for you. Maybe you need an extra night out of that house, or you just need a little extra spending money for fun things over the week. It could be all of those things too. But you really have this heart-to-heart with people. And again, but it still is that informing of what this business can do and what it has informed. So whatever, if you want to use the ticket game, does everybody know what the ticket game is? Okay. Or no, Michelle doesn't know what it is. Okay. So the ticket game is a fun thing that you can do with people where if you get the tickets, like the little peel off tickets, whatever, and you can do it a number of different ways. Some people do the 2, where the numbers are on them or whatever. So, and you set the timer for like 2 minutes. And anytime somebody asks you a question about your business, you give them a ticket. And then you do a drawing out of those tickets for a prize, right? A door prize of some kind. So it's just a way to get the conversation started with people. Sometimes it's a very comfortable way of doing it. I use the tally game a lot, which I know Anna used to. I don't know. Do you still use that a lot, Anna? Yeah. But I like to do the fun games. I kind of read my group. And there's a part in there that they get 50 points if they ask a question about my business. No, 29 points if they ask a question about my business. But again, it's that way of getting because sometimes you'll hear somebody ask a question. You can tell if they're interested or not, or if they're just asking the question to get 29 points. But by them asking that question, there might be somebody else in the room that's thinking those things. And so they're still getting their questions answered, even though they may not have the guts or maybe not even realize they had that question themselves. Okay, so that's all going to be part of your confident close, that you're going to do that. Now, so the informing part we know is very important, right? They need to know why they should even be interested, right? That's what we're doing by informing, is we're creating the interest. But the really important part is that second part, which is inviting. Right? We need to actually say, have you ever thought about doing this? So when you're going to be doing this is when is in the closing, or not closing, is the checkout. Okay. Now with virtual parties, it's a little different because you are not face-to-face with them when you're getting the order. But I would suggest with any orders that you get virtually or outside orders you might get on a party, virtually, like online or something from your website, is to still follow up with them, even if it's through a Facebook message, with a full service checkout. The full service checkout, which if you're on the training tomorrow night, I'll be training on that, so you can tune in then too, right? But so the full service checkout is when you're going to go over all these things. And the first thing you start with is the business opportunity. And the reason you start with that is because if you figure, if you're sitting there talking to somebody and the first thing you ask them is, so when can we book your party? Have your friends and family in to do that. And they're like, yeah, I have no time for that. So then you're going to go, yes, so do you want to start a business with Pampered Chef? That doesn't go really well. That's like going uphill, right? So if you start, I think fishing for whales is another thing. Start at the top. Start with the recruiting and say, you know what, Josie, it seemed like you really had a good time tonight. You asked me some really great questions. Have you ever thought about doing this yourself? Starts that conversation. Yes, I don't know if I can do it. And say, well, what's holding you back? Can I get you some more information and we talk in a couple days? And then what do? I give them one of these. I'm sorry, my lighting in my office is horrible. So I give them one of these. I give them the copy of the recruiting promotion for the month. And then I have a thing of like 20 frequently asked questions or something like that. And I give that to them. It's a little packet. And I give that to them and I make sure that I set up a time to contact them within the next 24 to 48 hours. That's a really important time frame. They say that every day after somebody has started thinking about this, they actually, they lose 10% of their interest. So if you have somebody that's super interested in the night of the party, first off, sign them right then if you can. If they're interested to sign right then, do it. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? If you have somebody that's like kind of going, I don't know if I have any questions. Well, do you need to know more information about the business so do you need to know how to get started or do you need more information on how this is a good fit for you and your family? And then that kind of gives you the direction that you need to go, but sign them right now. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But so once you get all through that, and you've set that time, so it's like you don't want to let it go for a week because by then their 100% or 90% that they were interested is now down to like 30, and that's no good. So we want to get them in within a day or two. Okay. There is also under the resources for this, for the Director Bound there is the 24-hour call. Hold on, I'm trying to do my screens here so I can see all you and still see my stuff here. Okay, so there's the 24-hour call. The 24-hour call is, the first part is as if they have booked a party. This is within 24 hours after they've booked a party that you would follow up with them and just kind of say, thanks for just to confirm this is the date that you chose. But then it's down at the bottom. It's one of the last things. I know that I mentioned this yesterday, but I have to say you've been on my mind. I think you'd be a great consultant with Pampered Chef, and it would be terrific to have you as part of my team. I'd love to get together with a cup of coffee and tell you a bit about our business. Okay, so it's something that, again, it's putting it in there with our host coaching, right? They just booked a party. All you're doing is confirming their show, and you're already talking about this business opportunity. Okay. Now, the other thing is let's say they haven't booked a party and you're just calling them because, again, maybe you didn't touch base with them. Maybe they were one of those people that didn't even order and like shot out of there. And you're like, wait a minute, I think they might be good at this, or you never know the missed opportunity. Still do a full service checkout with them because maybe they shot out of there without ordering is because they have no money. Right? Maybe their finances are tight right now and they can't. So maybe even if they're not going to become a consultant, maybe they'll book a party. So you want to make sure you still follow up with them. So it gives you some information or some words to say there to do that as well. Again, with a virtual party, it runs a little bit differently, but I still think it's important that it's through the Facebook or something, the Book of Faces, that you do something like that as well through a message. One of the things that, Anna, you put it on that funny faced, I just can't do it thing. What is that? Those people, do you know what I'm talking about with the big mouths? Yeah, yeah, she's laughing. Yeah, oh my gosh, I've been laughing because you've been putting them all over on different people's
Yeah, you have to go through, her name is Heather Land, Ain't Gonna Do It, and go on YouTube and binge watch all of them. You will
the whole
cry.
personal space one, and like, I don't need to see your molars.
Yeah, no, I'd rather
So-
put
oh
a
my
dog
gosh, it's so
cone
cool.
on than
Yeah. Well, and that's what she was talking about though, is like, I thought it made me think about it when, was it Tori, when you said earlier about, people not responding to you. We need to be careful that when we present this stuff to them, I think especially virtually, but even when we just make these phone calls, that we're careful not to make it about us, that we're making it about them, that we're being genuine, that it's, I have done it where I have seen people post, like old friends from high school, like this is, I was almost thinking of when Anna put this on there, I was thinking of this situation where I've had old friends from high school where had just put out there that, money was really tight. You know what I mean? Like something was going on. Maybe there were medical expenses, that kind of thing. And I've reached out to them. And have I said like, oh, I missed you so much? No, because first off, I'm not like that. But it's been very much like, listen, I know we haven't talked in a long time, but I did see on Facebook that this is it. I have this thing to offer you. Is this something that you're interested in? It's not a whole rah, rah, you're joining my team, because then it's all, who's it all about? Me, right? And that's not any good either. But you definitely, it's that connection with people. But remember that there's two parts here. There's the inform and there's the invite. Now, Anna's going to go next week, right? Is when you're going to talk more about what to do when they say, yeah, I do want to do that. What do you do then? Besides freak out and call your director and go, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Because that happens. That happens all the time. So you want to make sure that, that you do that. Okay. So what I need you to do for next week, you have a little bit of homework, right? And then I'm going to read you a very inspirational story. Inspirational Stories by Amy. We had fun music with Michelle Chick at church this morning. So now we're going to have inspirational moments with Amy. Okay. So first off, I want you to really practice these recruiting messages, these informing messages. How are you going to put it into your parties? I have found that it's really great to think of things in your head of how you're going to say it. But when you actually get to your party and you go to do it, like for example, even your personal story, when you get to your party and you actually try to do it, it doesn't come out the way it was in your head. And thus you sit there and practice it. And I mean, my poor dog, Saffron, my old dog, she heard my story a lot because I tell her these things when I was first starting out. I tell her these things a lot. So this is, I think it's important that you think about how are you going to put it? What are you going to say in those parts in your party? What, even put together a little stock Facebook message even for your full service checkout that's going to include all of these things. There's no reason why you can't cut and paste. Just make sure you change the person's name to the right name. Just do that. I've done that before. So word to the wise. Okay. Also, there is a, I want you to focus on if you have any of those checkout conversations in this next week or making those 24-hour calls. Even if you're not making a 24-hour call, even if this is not 24 hours after a party, customer care calls is a great opportunity to talk to everyone as well. So go back over your parties that you've had over the last month even. Make sure you're making those customer care calls. If you haven't done it, take a few a night. You don't have to do like 20 a night. Just take a few a night and make sure that you're doing those as well. Continue with your 15 contacts a week. Are you guys doing all the mini catalogs, right? That's something. Who put it on Facebook the other day, the great response that they had in like 20 minutes at Shaw's and someplace else? Who was that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think it was Megan Trendy. Yeah,
Megan
she's
Trendy.
in the director bound. She's through
She
this
was
already.
Oh, I was on the director bound one. She was totally on it. So that was really good. Definitely something to do there. And then there is a recorded call that is on the, I can't remember, under the consultants resources on the director bound. It's like Top Recruiters Tell All, I think, and it's Genevieve Black, who's phenomenal, and Brenda Copy. So that's a great thing just to get some words, again, words of wisdom from some great recruiters. All right, so I want you to do that. Oh, look, everybody's like messaging. Should I be paying attention to that, chatting?
No, we're going to talk about it. It was talking about virtual stuff. So
Okay,
I just
so
said
I'm
we'll
not paying
talk
attention
about
to
it
that.
when you're
Okay.
done.
I had it all hidden, so I didn't even
Yeah,
see
that's
it.
all right.
So here's my little inspirational story. I love this. And if you guys have been on like this call, I did this the last time I was doing something else. It's called the Daffodil Principle. Has anybody heard this before? Oh, yeah. Okay. Michelle has. Have I read it to you yet before, Michelle? No, you might have heard it from something else. Okay, so the daffodil principle. I'm going to read it all to you. It's a little story. Several times my daughter had telephoned to say, Mother, you must come to see the daffodils before they are over. I wanted to go, but it was a 2-hour drive from Laguna to Lake Arrowhead. I will come next Tuesday, I promised a little reluctantly on her third call. Next Tuesday dawned cold and rainy. Still, I had promised, and reluctantly I drove there. When I finally walked into Carolyn's house, I was welcomed by the joyful sounds of happy children. I delightedly hugged and greeted my grandchildren. Forget the daffodils, Carolyn. The road is invisible in these clouds and fog, and there's nothing in the world except you and these children that I want to see badly enough to drive another inch. My daughter smiled calmly and said, we drive in this all the time, Mother. Well, you won't get me back on the road until it clears, and then I'm heading for home, I assured her. But first, we're going to see the daffodils. It's just a few blocks, Carolyn said. I'll drive. I'm used to this. Carolyn, I said sternly, please turn around. It's all right, Mother, I promise. You will never forgive yourself if you miss this experience. After about 20 minutes, we turned into a small gravel road, and I saw a small church. On the far side of the church, I saw a hand-lettered sign with an arrow that read, Daffodil Garden. We got out of the car, each took a child's hand, and I followed Carolyn down the path. Then as we turned a corner, I looked up and gasped. Before me lay the most glorious sight. It looked as though someone had taken a great vat of gold and poured it over the mountain peak and its surrounding slopes. The flowers were planted in majestic swirling patterns, great ribbons and swaths of deep orange, creamy white, lemon yellow, salmon pink, and saffron and butter yellow. Each different colored variety was planted in large groups so that it swirled and flowed like its own river with its own unique hue. There were 5 acres of flowers. Who did this? I asked Carolyn. Just one woman, Carolyn answered. She lives on the property. That's her home. Carolyn pointed to a well-kept A-frame house, small and modestly sitting in the midst of all that glory. We walked up to the house. On the patio, we saw a poster. Answers to the questions I know you are asking, was the headline. The first answer was a simple one, 50,000 bulbs, it read. The second answer was one at a time by one woman, 2 hands, 2 feet, and 1 brain. The third answer was, began in 1958. For me, that moment was a life-changing experience. I thought of this woman who I had never met, who more than 40 years before had begun, one bulb at a time, to bring her vision of beauty and joy to an obscure mountaintop. Planting one bulb at a time, year after year, this unknown woman had forever changed the world in which she lived. One day at a time, she had created something out of extraordinary magnificence, beauty, and inspiration. The principle her daffodil garden taught is one of the greatest principles of celebration. That is learning to move toward our goals and desires one step at a time, often just one baby step at a time, and learning to love the doing, learning to use the accumulation of time. When multiply tiny pieces of time with small increments of daily effort, we too will find we can accomplish magnificent things. We can change the world. It makes me sad in a way, I admitted to Carolyn. What might I have accomplished if I had thought of a wonderful goal 35 or 40 years ago and had worked away at it one bulb at a time through all these years? Just think what I might have been able to achieve. My daughter summed up the message of the day in her usual direct way. Start tomorrow, she said. She was right. It's so pointless to think of the lost hours of yesterdays. The way to make learning a lesson of celebration instead of a cause for regret is to only ask, how can I put this to use today? Use the daffodil principle. Stop waiting till you get a new car, till your kids leave the house, until you go back to school, until you finish school, till you organize the garage, until you lose 10 pounds, until you get married, until you have kids, till summer, till winter. There's no better time than right now. So my thought with this, the reason I love this is the step-by-step, and also the idea that you can start today. Don't worry about what you should have been doing since the beginning of your business or way back when, is you can start today with these simple things. You can start tomorrow or today. I mean, you still have a little bit of time before it gets too late to make some phone calls. You could do things on Facebook tonight. The idea of just focusing today on what little thing can you do tomorrow? Who can you invite tomorrow? And see where it goes. You'll have a big old field of daffodils.
Yay.
Okay, I'm done. Inspirational moments. Bye.
Good. Thank you, Amy.
I'm going to mute.
One of the things that I love, we talk about this whole informing and inviting, and so I just want to talk about that. The whole virtual thing just came up in the question. And yes, we absolutely need to be doing the same exact thing, and doing a full service checkout with our virtual parties. So Tori, I know the question came up from, was it Jenny, about who asked the question about how to ask them if they're not friends with us. And yeah. And then Tori, though, you friended her. What was because I know what I do.
What do you mean?
So, I thought, did you say that you friended them, or did you? No, that was maybe something else.
With them and they're a guest?
Yes. How do you do a full service checkout with them?
I would message them.
Okay, but if you're not friends with them, they doesn't necessarily come through like a message.
I would ask to be friends with them.
Yeah, try to friend them. And then I think what Michelle had said, which I've done, Michelle just disappeared, but what I've done too is that you can tag them in a thing saying, thanks so much for your order, Susie. I just messaged you, so check your message requests or something like that so that they can get that. But yeah, it's just as important. It's just, and a lot of it is, I just want to make sure that I'm not missing something with you. You've just given me this great order. Thanks so much for your order. Let me just make sure I'm not missing, that there isn't other things that you still need from me.
Perfect. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Pam, I know you do all virtual. Are you doing full service checkouts with your customers?
No.
Okay.
No.
It's worth going back.
I do try to message everybody who orders to get bookings, but I've never approached business stuff with them online.
Okay.
And I post all those recruiting posts, and I posted one on our team page asking, what would you guys do? I mean, they give their answers, but then it's just a dead post because I don't know how to go back and respond to any of it. So
what I would love for you to do is, could you take on because this would be interesting, I think, for all of us to see this. Could you take one of your last posts on one of the parties? I don't know if you can screenshot like what the post was and what some of the responses were, or to, give us, like, put the post on and then say these were some of the responses, and maybe we can start some sort of a conversation on the page of what you would respond back to those responses. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, one of them is like that spoon one where it says, which spoon would you choose? And underneath the spoon, it has, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, hobbyist, or I don't know, but it's probably the same.
Which one would you need? The vacation, more money, that stuff. And so then they pick which colored spoon they want, and then I don't ever do anything with the post.
Okay. I don't know what that post is, so can you post that on the thing?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, that would be great. But yeah, some of these that you're having questions about, because and it might even be a case by case, but yeah, absolutely, those are the ones we should be jumping on. It's just the same kind of reason why, we've always talked about at parties that I would just say you have to do a full service checkout for bookings. We always say that because somebody you're leaving business you're just literally leaving money on the table if we're not following up with these, because just like bookings, if they're at a party, if I don't ask them, they might have been sitting there thinking, I would love to do a party, but I don't have a big kitchen like this. I don't have a big open room like this, so I can't have a party. But if I ask them and that's the answer they tell me, I can say, oh my gosh, you don't need this kind of a kitchen. I've done parties in garages or basements, or we can do it in the family room. It's the same kind of thing. You might have somebody say, well, I can't do a virtual party. This is maybe, if you're doing virtual parties and you don't ask them, they might be thinking, what, I would love to do a virtual party, but I can't do one until December. Well, okay, we'll still take that. You know what I mean? But we would have lost it. But it's the same thing with recruiting, unless you actually, that's what's so important about the inviting, and what Amy was talking about, that baking cookie, like her story, like the chocolate cookie story, that unless you ask them, they're thinking about all the reasons why they can't do it. That you'd have no idea. And their reasons for not doing it is they might be saying, well, I I really would love to do this, but here's an example. If you do use SyncShare, you use Post My Party, somebody might, and so there's posts going through the day. You might have somebody thinking, you know what, I work during the day, so there's no way I could be doing virtuals because I can't be posting all during the day like this. That could be what they're saying because they have no idea what SyncShare and Post My Party is. And even though that's what's coming up on it. So we know, well, wow, you could totally do this if this was.
Actually, they don't even need to have that anymore because they can just do it right from their from the Facebook party. You can schedule your posts on Facebook. Yeah.
On groups you can, but I don't think you can with events.
Oh, because I only do groups.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and I only do events.
Yeah. So, but you're right. So, but that's the point. You know, there are all kinds of reasons why I've had before from cooking shows, people going, you know what? I would love to do this, but I can't. There's no way I could do anything on weeknights. You know, I'd have to just do them on weekends. Good. I don't do parties on weekends, but there are consultants that do 2 or 3 parties on Saturdays. They will go to a 10 o'clock party, they'll do a 2 o'clock party, and they'll do a 6 o'clock party. That's their day to work, and they're doing 3 cooking shows a week. Saturdays are their day to work. You know, I could not do that. I'd be dead, but they're really successful consultants. That's what works in their schedule. So that's really what we have to remember. And that's, again, there's not only is there business and money just walking right out the door if we're not making these invitations, but there's also, again, people that really could use this, that if we don't just ask, that are just walking out. Hence why, and Amy and I were talking about this earlier, that if you're on the Veerling organization, I believe Terry was going to take it for the for her group too, but the whole Welcome Wagon. We have a Welcome Wagon campaign going on right now that's just about, just ask people. Just give them the out of the blue. You know, you guys are going to be trained now that all your parties and stuff we're going to be asking, but why not jump in and just do out of the blue? You know what? I know this is probably totally out of the blue, but I was thinking about you and didn't know if maybe being a permanent consultant would be something you'd be interested in. You know, just doing that, you know, and we've got an incentive going. If you just ask people, then it gets even easier the more people that you ask. It's just going through that invitation, because you either have consultants that are really great at the informing, you know, we're great about telling everybody about the business, but people are not going to just come to you and sign up. You've actually got to do the question and ask the question. Or we're going about and just asking the question to everybody without doing some sort of informing. You know, these people should know by maybe your posts or things like that. You're a chef consultant and you're having a fabulous time and you're cooking fabulous meals for your family and you're loving all your products and stuff. That's all part of informing. People are watching you. They're watching, if you're brand new, they're watching to see what Jenny's going to be doing with this, you know, how successful she's going to be doing with this. You know, they're watching, they want to see what's going on. But again, unless we ask them, they don't think they can do it. So it's just such an important part. So now that you guys have got all of this recruiting and you're all excited about recruiting, especially under the Veerling organization, I should see your names under the Welcome Wagon in on that incentive, Debbie Murphy. I haven't seen your name at all on that Welcome Wagon thing.
I'm scared of it.
No, you're I gave you the words.
I know, but I've been busy booking parties.
Yay, that's awesome. So you're gonna have lots of posts to ask too.
I'll try. I'm going to a party on, I'm doing one on September 23rd that I just booked tonight.
Yes.
So it's a bunch of people that I don't know. So
good.
I don't have reason not to.
Yes. Well, don't count. This is what I say though too. Don't count out the people that you know, because that's the big thing too, is we assume that the people we know that are very informed on what we're doing, they might be seeing you being at your house when you're opening your boxes or using your products and stuff. We assume that they'll say to you, no, hey, you know, Debbie, I was thinking about doing this too. Like, don't assume that. So here's the thing. I want you to throw me under the bus, all of you. I want you to pick 5 people in your close family and friends who you have never asked about being a consultant, but you would automatically assume that if they wanted to, they would have told you.
Michelle Chick.
What?
That's what happened with Michelle Chick.
Yeah. So what I tell you is,
Just
what you do is
keep coming, unlock the boxes and everything.
Yeah, I said,
And
so
then
what you
all of
tell
a
them
sudden
is,
said it. She goes, yeah, if you ever need me to sign up, I'll sign up. That never
means-
happens though.
Why have you never asked me? I know.
Because I'm a slacker.
So, but the thing is, so what the words that you'd say then with these 5 people that I'm going to challenge you, this is you too, Krista, okay? So don't think you're sliding out of this. That you ask those 5 people to say, listen, okay, so I'm doing this training thing and my director challenged me to pick 5 people of my friends and family. And so I just need to ask you, have you ever thought about being a paper check consultant? Just ask them that. And just see what they say. And if they say no, say, okay, good. I'm just going to write that down. Good. Now I have your answer.
I don't mind blaming you.
Good. Don't throw me right under the bus.
So
But really,
if we ask those 5 people and they say no, then that's 5 times that we've been on the wagon, or is that just one time?
oh no, that's 5 times you're on the wagon.
Okay.
Yeah, you can totally do that. Yeah. And then when you ask, yeah, we're totally like that. You see that on there. I'm posting that 10 times in the month because here's the thing. This is where it comes down to is that 1 in 10 people that you ask will say yes. That's just how it is. It's freakish. It's the weirdest thing ever. But like, I remember when I was growing my team, when I decided I want to do this, I kept, and I'm going to post this for you guys. It's on the Veerling organization, but I'm going to make sure you all have it. It's called a Pamper checklist. Okay. And I'm going to have you guys print one of these out and then you start. This is mine filling out with my leads that I've got going on right now. But you want to keep that because I want you to, anybody, now, if you mess with somebody and they don't answer you, you're not going to get a chance in the welcome night. Like that doesn't, we have to get an answer. It can't be those people, Tori, that just totally ignore you because that doesn't count as a no. Like you need to get 9 no's before you'll get that yes. And, but what will happen is you'll be going through your little list. Shannon knows because she's done this too. You'll go through your little list and you may be like, oh my gosh, frick, it's like 12 no's I've gotten. I haven't gotten a yes. Anna's totally lying. And then all of a sudden 13 will say yes and 16 will say yes. It's freakish. It's really weird. If you really stick with this and go through, it'll be amazing how that will actually happen. So I'm going to give you, I love the little process checklist, but I also have had, and this is really where I'm keeping my leads that I know are going to happen. We've also done that. Shannon, do we have that somewhere? There's a grid of like 100 boxes or something.
Oh, it should be, I posted one in there, I think last time. So there should be maybe in the files.
So it should be in the business builder file. Yeah. So I will look for that. That's one that's really good. Then it's like a game. Then you have a little grid of boxes and you just start writing in names of people that you ask. And then what I do is I would highlight if they said yes. So you can go through and write Susie and Jenny and all these names, and then you just highlight them when they say yes. And then you just keep going. And then you'd be able to see at the end, you'd be able to see those numbers and see what your statistics are and how many people. Okay, that was either Milo. There's either a dog or that was a freaking mouse.
Can I ask a question in regards, kind of backing up a little bit about the full service checkout?
Yes.
Okay. So when you're talking about that, are you just referring to the fact that you're offering them everything? You offer the business opportunity, you offer hosting a party. I mean, is that what?
That's a full service checkout. Yes.
That's what you consider. Okay.
There is information about that on PCU as well, on how to do a full service checkout. Again, we will be going through that next week. Not next week, tomorrow night.
Alicia's not on it. Alicia's with Terry.
Okay. That's what I was just thinking. Okay. So if you go to PCU, but yeah, the full service checkout, when we talk about that, it's really offering everything that we have to offer. So that's why I say start with the inviting of the business opportunity. Then you would go to booking a party. If they said no to the business opportunity, then you go to the booking a party. And then I go to my third is usually and again, I may not even like looked at their order yet, really. If I'm using the app though, the app actually runs you through all of those questions in those orders. In that once you put the order in and you're going through and you put it, it's like, I can't remember where it is in the process, but it actually asks, are they interested in the business opportunity? Then it says something about bookings. And then the last is the newsletter. And that's the last question that I ask them is, do they want to be added to my email newsletter to get up-to-date specials and tips and stuff like that?
Okay, and you're considering that full service checkout. You can do that either way. You're saying that it's completely fine to do it via Facebook, or would you recommend that phone call? Like I do quite a few VPs, but I also do cooking shows. And my last VP, what I did was I called everybody and said, thank you for your order, and wanted to know how you
Alicia, if you're comfortable doing that. Yeah, I'm much more comfortable on the phone myself, but I know a lot of people are a little bit phone phobic. And so the other challenge that I have is sometimes people are just not, again, like I think Terry had said about the nature of the day, so to speak, people aren't answering their phones all the time. So I kind of pick whichever way I can get a hold of them.
Okay. And I mean, my one last question is if you do call them in the time slot you have available, because I have 2 small children, do you guys think it's okay to go ahead and text them then and say, hey, this is Alicia from Pampered Chef, and you might not be able to talk right now, but I would really like to talk with you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely. And it sort of goes with go ahead, Amy.
I was just going to say, if you think about like when you purchase something from a store, it's the same idea with the customer care calls, that if you were to buy something from a store, from a catalog or something like that, if that company were to call you and to make sure everything was okay with your products and that you were getting everything that they had to offer, that would mean something. To me it would. But I like the texting idea. That sometimes people don't pick up the phone because they don't recognize the phone number.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes if you even text them to kind of give them a heads up, hey, it's me, this is what I'm looking to do, that it makes a little bit more sense.
Okay.
And I was thinking too, that goes to Jen Howe, remember last week was talking about with host coaching, that she's made a lot of her host coaching go through text. She probably does about 90, because she's just finding that that's how people would rather be contacted, is through through text. So and again, when you're in a virtual party, a lot of times if they're online, that's but we ask them somehow how would they like to be contacted, and then I would just go with that. Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Good. So I'm excited about this. And I said, Amy, I think started it off right away too, that in anybody that has known that if you have helped somebody else started, what happens to your own business too, that it's really a whole rejuvenation. Like you just get excited, you help other people, you're making a difference with somebody, but to be doing this with somebody else alongside of you is really fun. It really can do, this is when it gets exciting. You're stepping outside of your own personal business, and you're now stepping into helping somebody else get started and helping someone else, make their own goals and find some success too. Yes, Tori.
I already have a consultant under me,
mm-hmm.
and I am pretty sure that I have another one signing on tonight.
Yay! That's awesome. So exciting.
So I'm already a senior consultant.
Yes, you are already a senior consultant. That's awesome. Jenny already has somebody too. Krista has somebody. Shannon has a whole slew of people. So I'm excited. I am excited for this group. You guys, now listen, Amy's giving you homework. Amy, I'm going to have you just post that homework in, if you could, under the business builders, just to give it to them in writing on that group. Next week, you're going to want to, because next week's going to be our what next. We're going to talk about now that when we pool all of this together and we start building our business, where do we go from there? What's there to is offered to us? What is available to us? Really, what can we do with this now that we start building this? And that's where it's going to get really exciting. And then we're going to talk about what's next, like what really would be the next step, where we'll go from training and sort of see where you guys want to go with this. So let's keep it really interactive too, if we could, on this. So Tori, when that girl signs, I want you to post on there. Jenny, I know that you've got some potentials. Rebecca, let's keep it like going on there, and let's really hear about where you guys are going. Okay, here's one other thing I'm going to throw out. If you have somebody, and I was going to do this on the Veerling organization, but I'm available. I know Terry's available to any of you guys on yours. If you are, if you have somebody that is interested, Debbie, let's say you do just bite it and you say, okay, I'm going to ask this person. If someone says, yeah, okay, yeah, maybe I'd be interested, or yeah, maybe that would, I'd love some more information. Contact me or Terry or Amy, your director, right away. I mean, that's the first thing. I love that we do stuff on virtually, because a lot of times I'll have somebody go, oh my gosh, this is what they said. What do I do now? That's fine. I'll give you the words, to go through it. But also a great thing, and I've done this with a couple of people, is we can either do three-way conference calls, but again, if a lot of this is virtually, I've said once you set up three-way Facebook message with me in it, person, you and me, and let's go on it, and I'll start, because that's the best way then that I can train you on how to close the, not close the deal, but follow through. Once you've invited them, you've got the interest, what do we do with them there? How do we get them to go ahead and do that? So I can help you. Your director can help you with the words and stuff. So that three-way messaging or calling is really valuable, and I'm always up for that. Right, Vicki?
And Terry has done a couple of three-way calls with me. So Terry does do them too.
She does. Yeah. So user, that's what we want. We want to help you guys to be able to do this and to build, this is again, one of those steps. But just like anything, just like if you came to a party with me, I know Debbie, we've talked about that. I need to get you to one, but even if you came and shadowed me at a party, that's the best way I can train you on how to do a party and get bookings, is you can actually see me do it. Same thing with recruiting. If I can get involved with your recruit in that kind of a conversation, that's the best way I can train you, because then you word and see how those questions go from there. So good. I'm excited. This is probably my favorite. Good. All right. Oh, good. Rebecca, you're doing one too. Yay. That's awesome. Good, good. All right. Well, let's have a lot of conversations, since this is what we're going to be focusing on. You're going to keep building your schedule, keep working your calendar. But let's start adding some people too, and at least going out and question. Let's just ask a question and see what happens. I can't wait till Debbie posts. Okay, I asked somebody. That's what I want to see. Shannon, I cannot find under files that little grid. Could you do me a favor? And
I already did it.
Good. Okay, good. So the grid is on there. So print that off, because there's your little game board. That's your game board we're all going to play on this week. So you can start marking them in. That's what we'll start with next week, is how many names you put into the grid. Maybe the person that has the most boxes signed in, Krista, might get a little prize.
And where did she find this grid? Where
I made it. It's actually a Google Doc.
Oh.
So I just posted the link for it. If you just click on it, you can print it right out.
Okay.
Oh, Amy has the homework, I see. Where is it? Oh, there. Here's the Go for No tracker. She just posted it. Go for No tracker.
Is it under files and Can Do Business?
Nope. It's go under Can Do Business and just go and scroll down through the comments.
Yeah, I just posted it a minute ago.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so that's going to be the link. Maybe somebody's going to get a little prize. We'll check. That'll be the first thing to see who has the most boxes filled out. Okay, Debbie Tyner Murphy. All right.
I'm just messaging.
All right, guys.
Right now.
Thank you guys so much. Have a fabulous week, and we will talk. We'll talk this week. We're going to be very interactive this week, right, Michelle? Chick? Very interactive on the page. All right, guys. Have a fabulous week.
You too. Thanks.
Have a good night. Thank you.